Hello and welcome to yet another official map guide episode. Today we'll take a trip to the newest addition to the map pool, Oyster Bay, and after this visit to the picturesque island, we'll make sure that your trip to it is not going to be cut short. First of all, let's talk about light tanks. Those will find a plethora of bushes around the runway that is located a bit to the northwest of the center of the map. Aggressive scouting locations can be found close to the river that is running alongside the runway. Also, you can try to take the outside positions in the northwest as well as the southeast of the map. If you're more the passive kind of guy when it comes to spotting, then you will find defensive scouting locations in this as well as this position. Medium tanks will most likely want to relocate to the northwestern part of the map, as you can find bushes, stones and a wide variety of positions there, which make for a lot of crossfire angles and also opportunities to fire from. Even side-scraping positions and hold-downs with bush cover to keep you unspotted are there. The further you advance up on this flank, the better you will be able to support your heavy tanks in the upper avenue, which we will cover later. On the other hand, strong turreted and possibly even side-scraping capable mediums might want to also go to the avenues in the southeast and possibly even flank around completely. The three avenues in the southeastern part of the map offer good brawling opportunities for the heavy tanks that are most likely going to duke it out there. The first, upper one, is a bit more open and offers shots into the middle from which fire may be returned by the mediums, as we described before. The second, middle one, is more protected and offers side-scraping opportunities. This may remind some players of how Abbey currently works. Unlike Abbey though, Oyster Bay offers a third lower avenue in the southeast. However, this one is very open and should only be considered once a lot of information about the opponent's whereabouts have been revealed. Also interesting to note, it is possible not only for the tanks in the upper part of F6 to drive down in towards the middle, but you can also take the return route up into the first upper avenue. If you happen to spawn in a tank destroyer, you'll also be faced with plenty of options. First of all, you have the opportunity to go to either B5 or E2 to control the northwestern part of the map, where most likely you will have medium tanks as targets of opportunity. These positions offer both angles with and without foliage to fire from, and it is noteworthy that the ones without foliage actually provide the better angles, but obviously you'll need to be more careful. Additionally, from these positions, you'll be able to fire in the first upper approach for the heavy tanks should the enemies advance there. Furthermore, you will have the positions at G5 and also at E7 at your disposal. From those, you'll be able to cover the middle of the map, where most likely your light tanks will be able to spot targets for you, or also later on in the battle, you'll be able to fire into the medium lines should the enemy tanks be advancing there. However, with those, as always basically, it's important to keep an eye on the minimap, as if your heavy tanks should be losing the southeastern flank, any one of those corridors basically, you will need to either turn around and fight, or you should relocate quickly. Also, I should probably mention the positions in H1 as well as A8. Please don't go there at the start of the battle though. Those are more like last stand, valiant kind of defense situation positions from which you can probably even launch decapping attempts should the opportunity occur. Now for artillery on Oyster Bay. Not only will self-propelled guns find a lot of shores and beaches to chill on and fire from, you will also in general have pretty good shots into towards the northwestern part of the map, which is in general pretty open. If you want to get shots onto the heavy tanks, you will have to relocate to G1 or A6 depending on where you spawn, and you will have angles of fire into those positions. If your artillery has an excessively high shell arc, the FB3 or 4 springs to mind, then you will even be able to generate angles in towards the middle heavy approach, but you will probably have to go towards the positions behind the cap. Those, by the way, can also be used to generate a higher shell travel arc in general, but obviously you will pay with higher shell travel time. By the way, a short word about the Capcircles. Those in general are pretty open, but if you look at the minimap, behind them are large areas of rock or buildings to cover them. A few bushes at least offer some stealth, until the other team, alerted by the siren, comes close, that is. Conquering the enemy base is only advisable if you have control over a large area around them, as the approaches are very unprotected. And finally, it wouldn't be a map guide without a cheeky position. For more advanced players that are in mobile tanks, have good turrets, good camo, or a combination of those, we recommend going towards the southeast here, where basically you will have a lot of stones, bushes, trees to fell to create positions to your liking. You can also try to, in between shots, drop back into the water so the enemies can't hit you, and you should be able to harass the enemy tanks that are trying to duke it out on the lower avenue, and possibly you'll even be able to spot a TD or two. That is all for today, Commanders. Don't forget to let us know what you think about Oyster Bay in the comments, especially after its appearance in the Recon Mission mode. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and obviously hit that bell icon to get notified of future map guides and other videos. Roll out!